Welcome to Inside Santa Cruz. I'm Joyce Anderson, and we're here at the Coconut Grove for our Women in Business Luncheon, and the theme is Hats and Pearls today. But we have two special guest speakers, and our first speaker is going to be Michael Johnson, and our next speaker will be Lee Gilbert. But first, I want to introduce Michael Johnson. Michael, welcome.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Michael, tell us about, you were here and you've lectured before, but tell us about your business.
Okay. I have a business called Diamond Dynamics, and in that is I'm going into corporations and organizations in helping both men and women understand the very different dynamics inherent in the way men and women view the world. And my vision is to bring this in more into the corporation so that truly the glass ceiling can be broken, as it were, or at least pushed aside.
Well, you brought some questions, and there's so many things I want to ask you about this, because one of the first ones is, why do women have difficulty communicating with men?
Well, I'll turn the question just a little bit around on that, and that is, men and women both have trouble communicating with each other for one simple reason, and that is we each think that we view the world the same way, and quite frankly, we don't. And so given the fact that we think that the other person understands the world the same way we do, then when they don't respond in a way that we expect, then feelings get hurt and miscommunication arises. And it's really nothing more than the people just don't see the world, especially the sexes, don't see the world the same way. Okay? For example, men see the world in terms of things and activities. So they think of things and activities, and then people. Women think of people, then activities, and then things. So it is the mere opposite of each other. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is it works. And it's been working for millions and millions of years through evolution. And it's not that each person's not trying to do the best communication, but we just don't know how, and they don't understand how the other person sees the world. And that's where I come in and give each gender a glimpse into what it's like through the eyes of the other gender.
All right, one of these other questions, what are some of the biggest mistakes that women make when they're communicating with men?
Well, I think, first of all, which I had said before, is that we make the assumption that the other person sees the world the way we do. So that's number one. That's the biggest one. And if we understand it's not the same, you'll go a long way to really listening to what the communication is and asking questions about it. Now, in the case of women are highly verbal. And if you look at the female brain, and by the way, biology now is showing that this is not socialization. This is hardwired by nature. In fact, Columbia University even has a school now devoted to gender medicine. Duh, you would think, but medicine has looked at women as little men. And quite frankly, yeah, we all have liver and lungs and hearts and stuff like that, but there's a lot of other differences, and it shows up in the brain. So to get back to the verbal thing, is that women have both sides of the brain active when they're communicating. So a lot of resources of the brain is highly attuned in women. Well, now in men it's not. There's only a small portion on the left-hand side of the brain devoted to verbal skills in men. So when women bring up a whole bunch of different topics, men really cannot follow it. It's not that they tune out because they don't know what to do with the information.
So we talk too fast?
Yes. And you introduce too many subjects at once because you can. We can't. And so when a whole bunch of different subjects are brought up and you're interweaving them back and forth, men go in overload and they can't follow it. So what do? They tune out. Well, women love relationships, so the tuning out now compounds the problem. And so now they're talking faster, Ned, and more stuff in and wanting to connect, and men are saying, I got to get out of here. I don't know what to do with this. So the thing about it with if I were to give tips, is to pause between, slow down, pause between subjects. Give the man a little bit of time. If you're going to introduce 3 subjects, then ask the man to, here are the 3. Which one would you like to start with? And then talk with it. And then stop for a minute, pause, and let him reboot. He is kind of rebooting his computer, because what he's doing is taking that file and he's putting it in his head, and now he's ready to pull out another one and write whatever the subject is. So that will allow men to follow you.
So that's one of the best tips that you can say in communicating with men, that women give way too much information. So they should sort of pick a topic, discuss one thing rather than jump around and move from one to the other. Let them really focus on the one topic. Michael, how did you get into this business?
Well, it's a funny route. I was a single parent of 2 daughters, and when I got custody of them, they were very young, about 2.5 and 4.5. And so here I had these 2 entities that I was trying to figure out how I communicate with them, and how do I see the world in the way they do, so that I could at least give them help and advice. And what I found out was that when my daughters were upset, whether they were very young or later on, and you would talk with the boys, and I'd say, well, what did the little boys do? You know what I found out? The little boys were treating my daughter like another little boy. And they thought that was a way of connecting. But men's humor and their camaraderie is very different from women. So my daughters took great offense at it. Now, once they understand that it's just the boys trying to connect in the way they know how, they don't take it seriously. In fact, that's the name of a book that I'm going to have at the end of the year. It's not personal. Because
it's not personal.
Yeah, it really isn't. And so now, actually, one of my daughters is a chef, which is a very male-dominated thing, and my other daughter is a sheriff.
Interesting.
Yeah. And they just take it. They take this in stride now. So I'm very proud of them.
Well, you should be proud of yourself as a parent. You took the time and the initiative to solve a problem and did some research on it to help them and to help them communicate. So you must be very proud of your daughters at this point in time.
It was an honor to raise them.
Right.
Yeah.
So Michael, what are some of your goals now and for the future?
Well, I have a company called Diamond Dynamic, and I call it Diamond Dynamic because of the fact that I think if we align the resources and we have both the male and female to begin to understand each other and communicate with each other more effectively and embrace the strengths, the individual strengths of each, you really have a corporation that is now that it's strong, it's enduring, it's clear, it goes on and is very strong. My goal is to bring that in, and I'm doing it now with a lot of the major companies where the women and men are both now learning how the different communication styles and how to learn to effectively communicate with the other person in a way that they understand.
Not only in marriages, but in the workplace. This is huge, communication problem. You need to know those skills, have those skills.
Absolutely, and it's making a world of difference. At least that's what the people tell me. In not only the corporate arena, but obviously they will take that home with them to their personal lives, which is what it's all about. And it's fun.
And you're having a wonderful time.
This is great.
Michael, I can't thank you enough for coming here today, and we're able to talk to you. I know I've listened to some of your lectures. They're wonderful. But thank you again for being here.
Thank you very much for having me and inviting me. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, well, good luck with your workshops. It sounds fascinating. Don't go away. We'll be right back, and we'll be talking to Lee Gilbert. Thank you. Stay tuned.